Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, everything between, to the first recording and episode of the redsun.tf unofficial podcast. I'm here today with uh, not necessarily an interview guest, but the guy who's going to be my permanent co-host, Suicidal Soldier from redsun.tf. Would you like to give a little
Hello.
introduction? Oh, I yapped over you, but go ahead.
That's all right. Yeah, I am Suicidal Soldier, aka Sui Soldier. If you want to call me just Sui, that's fine too.
Yeah, it's a
I
very
am
long
the,
legal name.
yeah, my full government.
Full
I
government.
am the co-host of this podcast. That's about it. And for this episode, I'm also going to be the interviewed of the Redsun RPG.
Mm-hmm. I probably would have been good to get Forged on too. I know he has done some work on the RPG as well.
Yeah, but
Again,
busy schedules and all that. I
yeah,
didn't want to bother him with anything.
schedules and whatnot. We'll probably have him on at some point. We'll probably have a lot of people on at some point, and that's something, I'm very excited for, and it was one of the main reasons, I thought this would be a good thing to start this kind of podcast. Like, let's give some spotlight outside of the game to, some of the more talented. I don't want to say more talented, like we're excluding people, but like you get what I mean, right? Like some of the more, like, diligent, some of the more hardworking people who have contributed a lot of really cool things to our community.
Of course.
I wanna give them a spotlight outside of, us actually playing TF2. And I think that's kind of the whole point of the project, really, is to give us all kind of a spotlight, a time to talk, a time to, be human beings outside of TF2 and the server.
Yeah, that's important.
I
We
do
all
think
need to
it's
take a breather at the end of the day.
yeah. I think a breather is a very good way to put it. Um, whether you do it consciously or not, we all kind of, take on a bit of a character when we're on the server. I found sometimes it's for better, sometimes it's for worse. But it's something we all kind of subconsciously do. I think that's kind of just the nature of internet personas, really. And I think having, these talk sessions outside of, actually playing is it helps kind of humanize us. It helps, you know, give us a breather. Like you said, that's a really good way to put it.
Well then, should we hop into our first topic?
Um, we will definitely get to the main RPG interview and all the things about that in a minute, but as we're planning to have standard for the introduction to each episode of the podcast. We'll talk about what happened on Redsun this week, what all has been there, been done, what fun stuff has popped up. Um, I know you personally, just to start us off, did yesterday's Sunday Fun Day, which is inaccurate to Sunday, both today and the time of uploading, so that's gonna be fucking fantastic.
Uh, yeah. You can blame Rivsid for that because he was like, "Do you want to co-host an event?" And I was like, "Sure, whatever." And then a week went by, and I was still like, "Are we gonna co-host this thing or what?" And
I
he
mean,
said,
isn't that
"Okay,
literally
I'll."
what happened with the podcast?
I mean,
Isn't
yeah,
that
but like not
literally
to that
what
extent.
happened? Of course, forum was different circumstances, but if you want to get technical, that is pretty much what happened.
But
Uh,
yeah, we eventually got around to it, and we had a Sunday fun day, except it was on Monday, so it wasn't really a Sunday fun day.
I mean, I don't know. It was Sunday Fun Day. I don't think you'd lie. I think it was Sunday. You're gonna have to change around the calendars. I think the calendars were wrong, really. Not us. Not us.
Oh, who knows with all these time changes and whatnot.
Yeah. That reminds me. I wonder. I keep forgetting when daylight savings is. Isn't it about this time this year? Sometime late
I
February.
I guess I'm not really sure.
It's
Again,
kind of worthless.
yeah, and also like I'll have to excuse me. I'm like the 1% of Americans that occupy Red Sun, so I'm like 8 hours behind everybody.
Mm. Everybody lame. But yeah, I think it is sometime late February, early March, but that's not super important. Uh, what is important is Sunday Funday. It happened. To my knowledge, I wasn't there that day. I had some stuff going on. But to my knowledge, it's kind of just like stock. It's like a stock event, but a little spicier.
Um, well,
That could be
kinda
I could
yes
be
and
I
no.
could be inaccurate. I could be totally inaccurate. You're free to call me a dummy idiot.
Uh, well, what we did was me and Riv took turns setting a map each for like 10 maps or so, and then basically if you wanted to set a mode like 3 times in a row, you could. I didn't, but you could.
So you just roleplayed as Alex for a couple hours
Yeah,
and
except we
set
didn't
whatever
set
you
like
want.
bait maps and midway 3 times in a
You
row.
don't understand. Midway is funny. I feel like Midway would be so peak if it was just shorter. Because I think the game modes like the free in there are actually pretty neat, pretty fun, shooting games. If they were like a fourth of the time, I would love Midway.
Yeah.
I guess maybe that's the point. I don't know. Who do we know who actually made Midway? It was
I
Alex,
don't
right?
know.
Or whoa, somebody in that vague dev sphere we have.
It was somebody with a purple name.
Yeah, those purple named individuals. Hopefully, actually, I don't know what I'm hopeful about. I just wish there was a normal version of Midway.
You
I
and me
guess,
both.
I guess it wouldn't be as iconic if it wasn't a troll map. I get that, but like, there's good content here, and I kind of wish it was, worked with.
Yeah, it always makes me a little sad because it's like it has custom remixes of like the TF2 theme and like custom voice acting, and it's like, oh, there was effort here, but now everyone just hates it because it goes on for like way too long.
Does it scale by player count, or am I crazy?
I think it is.
I think it does. Mm. But yeah, definitely one of the maps I would like to see kind of retooled with now that we see, VScript being something that's like prominent and something you can do with the game. And I know it's funny to look at something and say, "Oh, but do it in VScript." Like I get that, but I think it kind of goes to show some of the like examples of what VScript should be used for is stuff that can only really work on one map. I remember the example. I was talking with Mikush a while back. There was this like tower defense. Have you ever played tower defense in TF2?
Not in TF2, but I've played other games as tower defenses.
All right, so I'll be 100% with you. I'm banned from most every tower defense server, and I'm not sure why.
Ah,
It's a very, very niche game mode. There's like 8 servers running it still, probably, but it's kind of what you and it's a very map specific thing. There's no tower defense like game mode or source mod plugin. What there is tower defense maps. It'll be like it's pretty standard for what you expect the tower defense to be. I mean, you have a map with a bunch of lines and shit. Uh, Robots travel along the lines, and at the back you can buy towers and stuff to shoot at it at the whatever goes down the lanes. It's very much like a
yeah.
yeah. I mean, if you played any tower defense game, like you can imagine how that works in TF2. It's
Yeah, I get
very
it.
fun actually. I think the main fun for me is just kind of finding out like what angle can, because it's in a three-dimensional third-person space, right? It's a three-dimensional game, but it's in a first-person space.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of kind of intric intricacies with kind of like where to place things properly to get them, at good angles to hit as much as they can, to have as much time to shoot in a certain lane. I think it's very interesting, genuinely, and I would be interested in seeing like if it was an actual game, something that played around with that kind of mechanic. Because as far as I know, I can't think of any like other tower defense games that really play around with that as much. It's a quirk again of being in a 3D game with a first-person kind of perspective like that. It's a very interesting quirk, and I would personally love to see that in like a full game. But I think Midway is an example of another map that would very much benefit from VScript and the stuff you can play around with that. Though there could be parts of that that like I may not understand as being not possible with VScript. Like I think VScript, to my knowledge, struggles with like UI elements.
I think so. I'm not really too well versed on the VScript place
Yeah, I
myself.
don't think either of us are, and we'll probably eventually bring someone on who is, hopefully. But to my knowledge, again, could be totally yapping and totally wrong, but to my knowledge, that's one of the main, like, struggles with VScript. One of the main things you can't do is uh, UI stuff like that. Because I saw the Saxton Hale guy on Twitter the other day, the Saxton Hale VScript guy. I can't remember his name, but it's the dude with the little frog profile. And I remember him saying something too about blah 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 blah. I couldn't do UI, and it's something with like a green. Right. I apologize for that quick cut. Had a small internal issue on our end. We will get right back to hopefully what I remember we were yapping about, which was VScript UI, as far as we remember. Essentially, just kind of to move past that point, since I think I've yapped enough about it. But as far as I remember, that was kind of the big struggle is UI, big no-no for VScript. There's a couple ways to work around it, but for the most part, there's some issues. But again, could be yapping, could be meandering, could be spreading misinformation. I'm not 100% sure. That's just what I remember. But hopefully we'll have somebody on eventually who does know VScript and stuff like that. Um, what other fun things have happened on Redsun this week? I know one that's immediately coming to mind, but let me know if you have anything else. It's maybe
I'm
you thought
interested
of.
in seeing what this one thing is.
All right. Well, no real beating around the bush because this will probably end up being next week's like full episode topic. Um, there is allegedly an event on the horizon. I'm sure you're aware. Our
Oh yes.
first big event in a while. If I remember the last like big real shit event, which was Squashbuckler Skirmish in June, July of 2022, I'd say. Does that sound about
Yeah.
right? And that was the event of all time. I gotta say, a lot of strong opinions on that one. I think, I think though, like there was a lot that was learned in that's a hard word, swashbuckler skirmish. There was definitely a lot I think we learned as kind of a community about what we think we want from events and what's kind of the better way to do them, so to speak.
Yeah.
Which a lot of that was reflected in. I want to say the name of the event was Egg Echolocation, something like that.
Hmm.
But it was the one we did. I want to say April May of last year. So about this time last year though, it was a complete departure from Swashbuckler Skirmish, and to some degree, every event we've done before, it was definitely a shorter, smaller event. But kind of the main thing about it is that rather than some, competition, whether it was a personal thing like blood counter or whether it was a, a team thing like swashbuckler skirmish, it was not any real competition. In fact, everybody benefited from working together, whenever the silly, funny gimmick popped up. The eggs in this case. And I don't want to, this whole section is going to be speculating, talking about the event, but I don't want to say anything necessarily, but I have a fairly good chance we're going to see kind of a repeat. Not of Echo egg whatever location necessarily, but something very similar to the system. And I think that's because not only because I think it was just a good event, right? I think it was a good gimmick. I think everybody liked it. You'd say?
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. It was a far cry from the killing people and the like God, even the contract system from like Phoenix Rising. That was in 2019.
Phoenix Rising was actually when I started Redsun. That was I had joined a month before Phoenix Rising. I remember the grind I had to do to get my Phoenix Rising pass. Whew.
Yeah. And then like a year after that we had Blood Revengeance. Or is it Revengeance? I don't know.
Resurgence, I believe.
Resurgence, one of the two. And I
Metal Gear,
remember like
Revengeance, whatever, yada yada.
yeah. And after the event, like Redsun was a ghost town for like a good I would like to say like 2 to 3 weeks.
Uh huh.
I think that's kind of why we're doing stuff like egg or things similar to egg location
We're just
now
gonna call it
because
Egg
it's
Event
like
until we know the actual name. 'Cause
yeah,
I
the
don't
egg
want to
event, that
sound
one.
like we didn't care about it, because we did. I just don't remember the fucking name. I swear we
Yeah,
liked it. I swear.
the egg event, yeah, because like I don't think we want Redson to turn into just an inhospitable wasteland again like that one time because it was pretty rough. People were just
It
like
was bad.
so burnt out.
There is still some grudges people have against each other over that event and the way it went.
Exactly.
And I won't say it's all community, okay? Some calls were pretty bad. I will be real. Some calls were pretty bad on how to do the system. I think 4 is too many teams. If I don't want a team system again in general, but if we did do teams again, 4 was too many. 4 was
Yeah.
way too many. I think maybe. See, I don't even want to say, oh, I think this size would be better because I would just rather not have teams at all, right? Like, because I
Yeah.
feel like free would be good, but I would just rather have none. I could pick between getting, shot in the stomach and shot in the head. I'd rather just not get shot, though, is the thing.
True.
Although I think in terms of like actual content and stuff, it was pretty good. It was pretty peak. I don't was it before or after Midem came out? I
I
don't remember.
ooh,
I want to
might have been
say
before.
from memory, it was kind of like it was getting tested, but it wasn't like I guess in
Yeah.
the modern state of Midem where it's immediate like sheeple server population and then they disappear after.
Uh-huh. I think it was kind of like in the midst of beta testing at that point or like finalizing the testing.
Yeah. But I won't talk too much about Midem because I know we have strong opinions. I think everybody on the server has a strong opinion about Midem one way or the other that could
Yeah.
like entirely dominate an episode on its own.
Yeah, we'll get to that in
We'll
the
get to
game
that.
mode section
Oh,
of episodes.
yeah, the game mode episode's gonna be 5 hour circle jerk, I'm afraid. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun. It will be fun when we inevitably get there, but I don't want to play my entire hand too quickly. in regards to that big topic of how do you feel about game modes? Because that's like 90% of our discourse, really.
Yeah,
That or the weekly, blah blah blah. Somebody did something on a server, yada yada drama. I don't care to discuss that on the podcast. To be completely honest,
exactly.
like in my
It's kind of
notes,
irrelevant.
I had included just as for stuff that happened kind of this week. When we talk about what's happened on the server for the week. I did include today's Jan incident in there in the list of things in case I was like pandering for time. But like, I don't care. I don't care about that shit. I don't think you do. I don't think. Well, I want to say a lot of people don't care, but we wouldn't talk about it if we didn't care. I
I
suppose,
just
but
don't care enough.
I don't care enough. I think that's the proper way to put it. As I don't care enough. Because this is a good place. This is a safe space. We're just chill. We're talking about good things, and I don't really care about who did what, unless it's harm. I
Yeah.
can get passionate about harm.
Well,
But I
I'm
can get
sure a
passionate
lot.
about
We
harm.
could get a lot of people could get on Harem's case, but I mean that's another topic
Yeah,
for another
again,
day.
another topic. Probably not a topic I'll ever really want to talk about. I don't think you do either. Not on the podcast, anyways. Podcast is all good vibes. Um, But outside of like having our focus away from team things and being more of a kind of like a server coming together kind of for the event, what else do you want to see from the event? Have you thought of anything?
Man, I was just thinking about like what could it possibly be or like what could we try next? And I'm not really certain about like any major breakthroughs in any new type of event because like the only ones we've had are kind of the only ones that we can do, but that doesn't mean that we should necessarily like base the rest of the ones that we do off of those ones.
Mm-hmm. I think if I
Uh,
was custom tailoring kind of a event, I would no crates, no funny drops, no nothing. I'd make it up. Have you ever played Deep Rock Galactic?
I have not.
Okay, so essentially, I have my own gripes with their battle pass system and the way they do it. I don't want Red Sun to have a battle pass. Let's go ahead and declare
Oh
that.
dear.
Oh no. Oh no. We would not survive a battle pass. It's gonna be worse than fucking after Phoenix Rising. I mean, it's gonna be like 2 months of death. People are gonna be so burnt out if we have a battle pass. And that's kind of the main. That's the other main reason I want to have kind of like a whole server-centered event rather than a team or individual progress thing. I think
Yeah.
that's because I think there'll be a lot less burnout if we're not at each other's throats for the whole event.
Yeah, I want to see more server-wide stuff because last time, like during Swashbuckler, it was just who could grind more, and like people were taking up like shifts to just grind
Yeah.
and do all the shit, and it was like this is kind of sad to watch.
Do you remember what team we were on by chance?
I do. I was on Beer Blasters and we won.
Ah, that. See, I was on tequila. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Of course, I'm not gonna go into detail about how we won because
The
the end of
incident.
Swashbuckler was kind of a
Yeah, that's the other. That's the. I mean, there's probably a couple other things, but that's the one kind of main thing I will say. That's not the community's fault. That was just kind of a bad call from above. There was
yeah,
some. I
some
think
questionable
making. I think
ethics.
making the points invisible was a really stupid idea. I get the intention. Like I get. Yeah, it was like the drive. You know. Um, I want to say tension, but all it did was just drive people crazy. Like it was effective. It did what it was meant to. I just think that was a bad idea in hindsight. But I know our, developers, they're smart people. I think they have learned from kind of how Swashbuckler went. I think everybody's learned from how Swashbuckler went and how well the egg event was received. I think we all kind of know what we want, is what I was saying
Yeah,
earlier. Like, we know
it's a
what we want.
no-brainer.
We know kind of the best way to do this going forward, and I really, really hope it's like that. I'm gonna be honest, if it's a team thing again, I'm clocking out. I'm
Yeah,
not engaging. I don't even know if I want to join the servers. If
I
it's
don't know
like
if I
that,
will participate.
I don't think I would. I don't think I would engage with it at all.
Yeah, it's just
If that
not
was the
not really
case.
worth it, is it?
No. But again, I don't think anybody's a silly Billy enough to do that again. And I'm sure we're gonna have this clip overlaid with like the clueless guy in a
Yeah,
couple
lie meter.
days. But I'm praying it does. I'm praying it doesn't. We are not clueless. We are right. I'm sure of it.
Surely.
Um, how are we doing for time? We're about 25-ish minutes in, I'd say. We have a little. We're not on any rush or anything, but we could yap a little bit more about the event, speculation and whatnot. Since I'm sure we have more opinions. Like, we have kind of like a general idea of what we want the flow to be. Oh God, I forgot to explain the DRG thing. That's what I was forgetting. God,
I
I
was
went on
kind
a
of
whole
waiting.
tangent. Yeah. So DRG does have a battle pass proper, which I know it's a free battle pass, but I'll be honest. I just don't care for battle passes. I don't care if they're free. And they are very
I
generous, but I don't care for them. But what they do, in addition to the battle pass, is you'll get little token rewards across the season. Not a premium currency, but they have this second smaller thing. The second, they call it like a progress board or something like that. Again, all the people who do actively play DRG are probably mauling at me right now. But they have this progress board, and every couple levels, or when you complete a special event mission, or do some special event thing, you'll get a token, and you have this like 100 item board connected with like lines and stuff, and you can spend these tokens to get what you want on the line. So imagine, like, I'll downsize the example to make it a little easier to explain. Let's say it's like throughout the season you get like 15 tokens for doing your Blorbobingus missions by beating the Blorbobingus boss, right? And so
mhm.
you have a central little thing you can pick first, and then from there you just branch out. You can go this way and get some items for this class. You can go another way and get some items for another class. And in between each little thing, sometimes there's like some minerals or whatever. But basically, the gist of it is you have branching paths, kind of like a skill tree, if you can imagine that.
Yeah.
Like, imagine a skill
That's what I
tree,
was
but
thinking
with
of.
cosmetic rewards, essentially,
Huh, that's
if you
interesting.
built them over a season. It's good. It's good. And to be honest, I wish the whole battle pass was that. Just a bigger version of that you get to pick from like a shit ton of items from. I think that's how I'd do it. Is something like that for Red Sun, is
Hmm.
to have a big progress board where you do a good thing, you get your Blorbobingus token, and you get to cash in and start building up that kind of progress tracker. There's got to be a better word than skill tree. There's got to be a better word, because it's not a skill tree. You're buying funny cosmetic items with it, but like you can picture it in your head, right?
I can, yeah.
Absolutely. All right. That's how I do that. I don't think they'll do anything that extra, but I would love to see something like that. Um, in terms of any like game mode things you would like to see, can you think of any?
In terms of game modes,
Any reworks for game modes? Like, I think we'd know if there was a big game mode coming up or something.
Yeah,
But like what would you like to see?
honestly, and I'll save all of my any, other tangents for the game mode episode, but like if they could poke Glass Attack's corpse a little bit, that'd be nice.
I have strong feelings about Glass Attack.
Yeah.
I think the
As
core
do
is
I,
really
but
good, but it's probably the biggest example of the map pool is shit.
yeah.
I genuinely think it would be as easy as removing most of the maps that have excessive unbreakable ground.
hmm
It's like, well, why are we fucking here then?
It's true. There are like a lot of maps that are either polluted or just don't make any damn lick of sense in the first place, and it's like, what the hell am I supposed to do here?
I also
Especially the ones that, sorry, but especially the ones that allow your teammates to shoot glass on your side.
everybody's had their one Glass Attack gameplay ban for killing a teammate. That's just kind of an obligatory redsun.tf experience. You gotta get your one quick 2-hour gameplay ban at least once in your time here. I think I've
I
had it happen a
suppose
couple
true.
times. Look, some people are fucking asking for it. That's all I'll say. Some people are asking for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think of a couple maps. Like, I forget the name of it, but there's that one that's like the hexagon crystals, and that one is just glass, not a
Oh
single
yeah, yeah.
unbreakable surface. And I think when I play that, this is kind of peak. Like, there's good shit there. Like, it's clearly there's the pieces there are good, but it needs some tools to
It just
work.
needs a little
Just needs
fixin',
some
you know.
fixing. I don't even know if there's anything else like tweak wise that would make to the game mode besides just fixing up the map pool. I know we've had jokingly thrown around like enabling heavy for class attack, which would be wonderful, but I'm trying to think of like anything else weapon wise you could really change about glass attack.
I'm not sure.
Originally, I thought of the idea of having SMGs, but like you only have like 3 in the magazine, so that's just like a quick. You can use this tool once to get somebody.
That'd
But
be
I
interesting.
feel like that would probably suck though, to be honest.
Um, it's kind of a silly one on my end, but
Oh, we're here to be
in the
silly.
old in the old Glass Attack, and I think they took this out. You used to be able to do staring contests, and what I meant by that is basically the last whomever on whatever team would go huntsman, and then you go up to another guy with the huntsman, and you taunt at the same time, and then basically you would spam the taunt button to keep taunting, and you'd both be stun locked, and then whoever stopped using the taunt first would die because then the taunt kill would play out. It was
I
really funny, but it was obviously a bug.
mm, yeah, I mean, I could
But I
see
miss it.
that getting. It is kind of funny. I want to say I've seen that happen recently, that I cannot verify. I do think that is kind of funny. Um, I could see the argument it's delaying though, obviously.
I mean,
Like if they had rock paper scissors,
yeah,
I can't really make an argument in defense of it.
but also like it was Glass Attack, and if things drag it
Yeah,
on a little too long, you'd always just break the floor underneath them.
yeah, yeah. I definitely think it's good to have more chill game modes in general, where that sort of thing can happen. I mean, I do think in a general sense there is some merit to the general like please don't be friendly rule. I think it's very much a case by case
Yeah.
thing. Uh And I don't think it's something you can really set a time limit on, like so and so seconds of doing this is now it's offense. I don't think you can really do that.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
you were
there's
allotted 30 seconds of fun.
definitely been some attempts to try and do that, and I've seen some very interesting examples of that being enforced. But I mean, this will be something that generally comes up in the podcast, but I just want to get it out of the way. Not because you're a moderator or anything. So, like, please
Uh-huh.
don't kill me, Mr. Police Officer. But uh, I do think we are a little overcritical of the mod team sometimes.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I know it's a bit of an awkward conversation and point to make.
No, that's
With
okay.
a
Go on.
moderator in the room, because it makes me sound like I'm fucking spreading CCP propaganda at gunpoint. But yeah, I think we could serve to be a little less harsh sometimes on moderation or how our moderators are. But even then, there's definitely been some funny, not funny, but some weird outlier cases with enforcing friendly rules and how we do those. Fuck.
Oh, it is touchy, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a little touchy. I think they do the best they can, and to be honest, like we're all just here to have fun. Like we should be thankful we have janitors at all.
Yeah.
It's the way I'd put it. We should be thankful we have fucking anybody who's willing to do this shit. It's not easy. It is not easy. I will concede that. I mean, I say concede like I haven't said it before, because I've always kind of held that position. But like you get what I mean. It's definitely
Yeah.
not as easy as you would think, and that's something I've learned. I haven't moderated on a TF2 server before, but just general like moderating and running things, I have done that over the years, and I have kind of learned. Oh, it's not as simple as
Yeah.
it's not as simple as it would seem.
Especially because I s- my previous moderator experience was on a Gmod RP. So
I thought you were gonna say Skyle. I'm gonna be honest.
no, no.
Oh, ooh, Skyle. Mm. Fuck. How are we doing for time? Because I honestly kind of want to hear that story. No, we can do it for a couple of minutes. Tell me about your Gmod server experience.
Um. All right. Well, I'll tell you this. I was accepted at the ripe age of 12.
All right, we got the story. We're good. I think that summarizes
So,
it. Holy
well, I got to a
shit!
good
Which moderator was after you? Like 12?
start. I
Dude,
was
I still didn't. I still thought Mexican people spoke Mexican at 12. Like, damn, 12. All right.
I
What
was
what was the
I was
game mode by
recommended by a
chance?
good friend. The game mode, I mean
Please
the
be Dark RP.
server, it was SCP-RP.
Interesting. I've tried getting into SCP RP service a couple times. I was kind of hoping it would be the Dark RP tier shenanigans. Um, it hasn't really, but that's because every server I've been to is like, fucking just scientists like flirting and fucking each other in the back rooms, while the D class eats scraps from the occasional MTF who comes by.
Yeah.
And all of them, all those staff, well, SC, not like server staff, but all those like foundation staff roles are normally locked behind like paywalls and shit. So I guess
Yeah,
that's the
it's
just
kind of like
good for
that.
them. Good for them, because um, it is kind of silly, but like as a writer, I got kind of my start on low quality, trashy, like RP like communities like that. Like never anything in Gmod, but Stuff
Yeah, I
like
get it.
God, do you remember Amino by chance?
Oh, yeah.
Repressed memory. Repressed memory.
Oh
Shit
dear.
like that. Yeah, we're not gonna get into that, but just kind of like there is some value to that. Like good for them. Good for them. Um, do you remember the name of the server by chance?
Yeah, it was called Terminus. I
Terminus.
don't think they're around anymore.
I hope not. It's just a
Yeah,
stupid
it's
fucking
been a
name. They should feel
while.
bad.
It's been almost 10 years at this point.
Mm.
But you have to, like, it was a different era, you know? Like the server, I mean, it was a good server. Like there was good people. I jived with it. That's why I stuck around
It's a
for so
different
long.
time. Back in my day, we could say.
We could say these words.
Yeah.
No, but I mean that in like Secret Labs wasn't a thing yet, and it kind of,
I
you
think
know,
Secret Labs has had a tremendously awful impact on the SCP community.
exactly, like that whole zeitgeist wasn't around yet. It was still very much like, oh, containment breach, and like just the SCP wiki at all was like the main
My
draw.
personal grievance with like in general, Secret Lab was kind of, and I don't think it's the fault of the Secret Lab developers. I just want to say that they clearly, I don't think it was their fault, right? I think it's kind of silly
Uh,
to assume it's their fault. Like they didn't,
yeah,
unless there's some like special drama I missed or something. They didn't kind of in they didn't set out to shift the entire kind of community the way they did.
yeah, it
But
just kind of happened.
it just kind of happened. I mean, that's the way a lot of those, I guess, fandom things go. Is you never know. You never know when that sort of event's gonna happen, where it just takes over like that. It is kind of unfortunate. My personal grievance, like I was going to say before I started yapping, was it basically killed Gmod Breach. Just
True.
immediately dead. It did not last, but like a couple months. And I
Yeah,
get
that
why.
was,
It's te- technically a more high quality product
you
from
know, it's not in source.
it's from a, I guess, fundamental. No, I don't even want to say fundamental, but like from a, I don't want to say production quality. It's to some degree a better product, and it also helps that it's free,
Yeah.
and a lot of people already had Gmod, but like it's free, it's easy to get into. I think that helped a lot with Secret Lab, and I think, but like it killed Breach Gmod like immediately, and it was
Yeah,
really tragic. A lot of those communities were really good. There was a lot of good content. A lot of them. The one I used to play on was a GFL Breach.
oh yeah, yeah.
GFL has a lot of different servers, a lot of different places. I think they still do run a couple things. I think they still do a couple Gmod and TF2 servers, but I haven't, kept up with them. They could be gone. GFL could be entirely gone, and I would not know. But it was one of the bigger names in terms of like big server hosting communities with a bunch of game modes. Like, I'm pretty sure the TTT servers are still up,
Right.
but I'm not 100%. I will have to check after the podcast because I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I mean, there was so much good shit on there. There was like 20 different SCPs on there. There was a bunch of really good and unique maps. There was this one map that I have such good nostalgia for. And you sounded like you played Breach, so tell me if this rings a bell or not. But it had this colossal, like, hallway. It was so the map had like a big like Russian statue in the D class spawn, and it was just these two massive fucking neighboring hallways for scientists in
I
D
th
class.
yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah.
And you had to like travel through the underground. There was the big open like ladder downstairs that brought to the big like climactic area was the big like exit area. It's so instead of having like a maze of different rooms and whatnot for the final like I think heavy containment is what you consider them, or whatever is the researcher rooms where like the MTF spawn. Do you know what they're called? I don't think it's heavy
Mm,
containment. I think the sewer looking ones is heavy containment.
yeah.
But I don't know what the MTF spawn location is, but instead of being like a maze of rooms, it was just this one massive fucking open room with like a gap in the middle. And it completely changed the gameplay dynamic. Like now you can see everything, which big upsides, big downsides for every team involved. And it was different. I loved it, and I wonder how something like that would play on our SCP servers.
I cannot fathom such an idea.
There's ways to port Gmod maps.
There
It's
are
EF2. It's the
ways.
same engine. If I ever fucking find the map, I will do my hardest.
I'd be interested
It
in
was
seeing how they respond to that.
it it like to be honest, it was not the highest like production quality map, but it was something where like the spirit was there, and it was so unique that it kind of worked out. Like it was different. It was fun. And of course, again, there was a ton of unique SCPs, and I love that. Like there was the fucking. Do you know the rolling ball of flesh that plays Beethoven?
Yeah,
That one. It had that one. It had the fucking teddy bear. It had the computer. Uh, what else? It had a much better version of Kane. I forget what was different
true.
about it, but it was. I think it had like a leap. Oh, and that reminds me of my favorite one. It was this like invisible bug enemy. The SCP had like 500 HP. It was a very weak HP SCP. But your
Yeah, yeah,
thing
the one that
was you could leap
hides.
around the walls and cling to the walls, and you were invisible. And your model was like an antlion from Half Life.
I think that was 62, wasn't it?
Sounds. I know there was a 6. I don't know about the rest. I know there was a 6 for certain. And that was such a fun one to play. You could. There was a lot to master with the movement of that one to kind of compensate for your very low HP. And it was fun pogoing around a room, slicing up MTF, and they just were powerless. If they had a skill issue. Sometimes you won that, sometimes you didn't. It was very fun. And I think something like that would be very easy to actually do in RSCP. But I think we've gone on long enough about our general yappings, stuff going on in the server. So, I think now is a good time to get into the RPG proper. If you are willing and ready.
Oh yeah.
All right, that's good to hear. So, as we talked about before the podcast, I may not be the most ideal person to kind of interview for the most ideal person to interview you on the topic of the RPG because I have not played it. And I'm sure those of you who have listened this far, all two of you, are booing and throwing tomatoes at me, and I would like to apologize. But I got a virus the one time I tried to install it. I haven't tried again. I'm good. Maybe I'll give another try. That is my bad. I don't know what the fuck I did. But I know somebody did not upload a virus to the forums on purpose. So I'm gonna presume that's a me thing. If it was a virus that was purposely uploaded to the forums, you and Forged would not be standing here discussing it with me.
Yeah, I'd be dead a
You'd be
very long time
dead.
ago.
But we're not talking too much about whatever the fuck I did to fuck that up. What does interest me is you. You is kind of the main creator of the RPG. And God, where do I begin? where do we begin? I do have a couple questions brought on, from the forum by people who, we allowed people on the forum to send in some questions for you, and in future interviews we will do a similar thing and hopefully get some better questions. For lack of a better word, we did not get good ones. I wrote down a couple, but we'll get to them shortly. Kind of both to, get a better introduction for myself and those who are not in the know, and also just to fucking pander for time, because again, not good questions for the most part. Um, I'd like you to tell me a little about, the RPG. What kind of started it?
What started it? Okay, so I'm gonna go way back. Uh, so
There's this
it
guy named
started
Darth
when
Maul on the server. That one, the question.
uh,
God.
so I saw a Twitter post during the summer of 2021, and it said RPG Maker 2003 is on sale for $2 right now. And I kind of just saw it. I was like, huh, cool. That would be interesting. And then I think it went on sale again at December in the winter sale. And I decided on a whim, you know what? It's only $2. Might as well just pick it up, and it'll probably sit in my Steam library forever.
Steam
Until December
sales have led
4th.
me to places I wouldn't go with a gun.
Exactly.
But yeah, go ahead.
So December 4th rolls around, and by that point I already like tinkered a little bit and sent a couple like stupid screenshots to the Discord, but they didn't mean anything. But December 4th, I was sitting in a diner with my family, waiting for dinner, and I looked at my phone on Steam and saw the RPG Maker logo, and I was like, you know what? Maybe just this once I'll start something for Red Sun because I've been here this long. Might as well. I already have it. Why not, you know? So I made a forum post and I said, hey, I'm gonna make a RPG game about redsun.tf. And I got a lot of questionable reactions. People were kind of confused, but mainly overall, much to my, I'm forgetting the word, but I was relieved. People were really excited for some reason. And it, well, gave me confidence in what I was doing, first of all, because, honestly, sometimes you make something and then people are just like, cool, and they move on, or they just don't care at all.
Hero
But, like,
Fortress comes to mind.
exactly.
Honestly, I don't even think Hero Fortress was that bad. If I can go back to talking about Red Sun for a second, I don't even think it was that bad. It's
Yeah,
just kind of man versus man came out, and it
exactly.
was a better
It's better.
execution. I do think there was a lot of merit in Hero Fortress, and I think with some tinkering, we could maybe do something funny with that. I say we like I know how to fucking use source mod, but like you get my point. I feel like there's some potential in something like that. I think I'd probably pivot towards I'm gonna probably say this. This is gonna be the first time anybody's ever said this. I think it'd make it more like League of Legends.
Oh dear.
Not a good start to the sentence, but hear me out.
Oh boy.
I think pivoting from buying little upgrades to having something where you like buy full on items, I suppose, for like stat building and whatnot. I think there is potential there. And that was one of the issues with Hero Fortress. I say not like a big issue, but it was like you always kind of had an excess of money, like very quickly. And I thought, at the time, maybe building items instead of little power ups would be a better way to do that. I guess, again, at the end of the day, that is still kind of just man versus man. But I think there's something to work with. But again, don't let me distract too much from what you were talking about.
That's all right.
It's just something that came
Where
to
was
mind.
I?
You were
Oh, right.
talking, yeah.
So yeah, it gave me confidence in that it wasn't probably just something that would be kicked to the gutter. And I started working on it, and it took me a while to find a foothold because basically, well, I wanted to do like three things with it overall with the project. And the first one was basically just learn how to use RPG Maker at all because I started and literally did not know what anything did. I was just going by the seat of my pants. And second of all, I wanted to make my own game, and I couldn't do that without learning first. So I felt like the RPG I was making for Red Sun would help me along that journey.
I think a big part of like game development in general is you got to make the first one. Don't shoot your number one idea for your first thing. That's kind of a thing I've heard from a lot of people who do game dev stuff. Don't
Yeah,
don't do your masterpiece first. Do something a little simpler. Do something a little more manageable. And one of my favorite RPGs has ever come out. It's this spectacular gem that not a lot of people know. This game called Jimmy and the Pulsating Mass, which I know is a absurd name, but just bear with me. Um, Casey Osman was the developer for that game, and he kind of always had like an idea of Jimmy in his head, the game Jimmy, but he'd spent like a couple years just building smaller RPG Maker projects, kind of before he made, probably the magnum opus of JRPGs in general. I'd say. I will absolutely advertise for free. Jimmy and the Pulsating Mass is a fucking amazing JRPG. I think it's defining for the genre, and it's crazy. It's gone as unknown as it has, but I mean, it's a similar kind of thing to what you're doing. You gotta start with some smaller projects before you get to your magnum opus, your big
exactly.
masterpiece. And that's kind of what the Redsun RPG was for you. Not to make it sound like it's slop. It's not slop. It's great. We wouldn't be sitting here discussing it again if it were slop. Um, as, as much as I have seen some comments about slop in the RPG, well, I will not get on the Mortis yet. We will get to the Mortis question in a minute.
We'll
Whatever the
get
fuck
there.
we'll get there. Whatever the fuck that's about. Um,
I will tell you all about it.
oh
We'll get
boy, we
there.
will get to that. But yeah, you gotta kind of start somewhere, and
Yeah,
yeah, like you said, that's kind of what the RPG is to you. It's your stepping point before you make, to give you the tools and knowledge to know how this production works, and then so make something big, make something your own. But what was the third
yeah.
thing you were hoping to accomplish?
Well, the third actually was kind of a
Money.
mismatch of reasons. I wish I could
I
fucking.
w- you could start charging
I
anytime.
was like,
Make the DLC
uh,
paid. Make the DLC paid.
I was
No
like, oh
balls.
yeah, maybe maybe I'll make this paid, and then I put Live and La Vida Volca in it. I was like, well, there goes my dreams.
Yeah. No, make the DLC paid. No balls. $5. It'll be peak. There's probably gonna be
No,
it's
but the third
not as
reason
there's
was
gonna be one person who pays it before it gets distributed around like some fucking illegal product.
uh, I have stories about money.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean that's kind of an experience I've had a lot. I will keep this tangent very brief, but I've kind of always modding has always kind of been my big thing in games. TF2 was the first game I really played like seriously and seriously got into, and of course it's a source game. Modding is the bread and butter, right? So
exactly.
I, there is a couple communities where you have I've kind of encountered, paying and being in backhand distribution of, hey, I bought this mod, I'm sharing it with the group chat. Um, Most
Yeah.
communities, they'll fucking kill you if you have paid mods. They will fucking kill you. Like, I remember that was a big thing that happened at Skyrim for a while. Is there was some people
Yeah.
who'd come in and try to do paid mods, and they would be bullied
Yeah, you're ostracized.
relentlessly. They would not survive. The only things I can really think where that was kind of a situation where it kept around, paid mods being kind of a fact of the game. And I don't know if the first example counts, which is Second Life. I don't know how much I can count that, because I don't know how much I count Second Life as a game. It's it's closer to Roblox as a platform than any physical game. I guess call it VR chat. Comparing it to VR chat would be similar. The other big one that comes to mind is Final Fantasy XIV. If you've ever seen that circle, the
Of
modding
course.
scene it's all paywalls. I don't know why. It's all paywalls, and I'm in a couple legal groups for sharing backhand mods for that. To be honest, I think it's fucked. I think it's fucked how normalized paying for mods is, especially in a game where the TOS does not allow mods. I think it's extra goofy to make them paid. I'm paying for something I'm not even supposed to use. Like, that's just weird. But again, I'll get off this
Yeah.
tangent before I go on too long. Um, but yeah, you got your free things down. I think. Did we give it to the third day?
No.
Oh my god. I
It
yapped
wasn't
too
it
long. I
wasn't money.
yapped too long. Alright, I won't delay this any further. Go ahead.
That's all right. So it definitely wasn't money, but it was
Because
like
you're a quitter.
actually
Okay, last interruption. I swear to God. I
it was time
swear.
management.
Mm.
Yeah. Managing time correctly and like how to actually stick with a project of yours that will take a long time to finish. Like I at the start thought it would only take like 2 months. Like it'll just be a real short and sweet game. And then I
Yep.
realized what a game was, and I went, oh, it's gonna take a little bit more. So it taught me like, okay, if you're gonna stick with this, you gotta, really dig in deep and like not get burnt out and like prioritize this and that and then take breaks when you need to. So like how to actually work on something tangible correctly.
Mm. Yep, that's a big part of artistic projects like that, is finding the good time balance for it, because when you get burnt out, it's over. Like, I mean, it's not over, but it's a lot of times it's over. At
It
least for a good
sucks.
while. You're not. Especially again, if it's an artistic thing you make for something personal for yourself. Like, that's a wrap. You're gonna suffer really bad. And it does sound like, you had that once or twice.
Oh, well, uh,
Ugh.
uh, I have various stories.
Mm. I mean, is there any one of them that you think is particularly worth mentioning, telling about?
Sure. Um, so the second world in the RPG is the desert, right?
Mm.
And the
I thought
desert is
deserts
supposed to
were
be like a
third world.
mishmash.
Aren't deserts for?
We just won't
Yeah,
mention
yeah,
it.
yeah. We're gonna chat. Do we leave
Just
this
move on.
in? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the desert is the second place you go to, and it's like a mix of Death Run and the SEF map Serious Sam. So I was, you know,
That's actually one of the few Super Zombie Fortress maps I kind of actually like.
yeah,
I have my gripes
I
with the
think
game
it's
mode, which again, not for this session. But I think it is actually pretty good. It is
It's
formatted
good.
pretty good
Yeah, it's an iconic map that everyone knows,
for a
right? It's like, why not
reason.
put it in?
For a reason. I think there's a lot of things that are iconic for bad reasons. It is iconic for a good reason.
Yes. And I was porting all of this stuff and like getting all of these tile sets made and like finding resources. And I was just, building and building and building and I was almost done with the entire area. I just needed to make the boss fight and that was it. Because I was really excited to get to the third area, which was going to be like SCF area, which is all about like turtle attack and Normandy and whatnot. But one day I booted up my project and everything was black,
Mm.
and
Did you
I
open
was
your eyes?
confused. I opened my eyes. I made sure I was, awake and
You
conscious.
pinched yourself and everything.
I had to pinch myself, and slap myself awake. No, but I opened it up and like everything was blacked out. Like it just didn't exist. And I was like, what the hell? And I checked my project files. Something was corrupted or whatnot. But every time I, open and closed, it was just not there. And I was going insane because this didn't just go away. It took me like at least 5 days to even comprehend how to fix it because RPG Maker 2003 is a 20-year-old program.
Mm. You know,
And
it could get worse because I had checked just in general like Steam news. RPG Maker XP actually is like free to keep right now
it
if
is
you
at the
pick
time
it
of
up. It
recording.
is, and I believe that's older than 2003, right?
I think XP came out afterwards.
Yeah, I could be yabbering. I could be yabbering 100%. This whole podcast is me yabbering and you having to deal with the consequences of that. But you know, like God, we gotta. I think what we'll probably end up doing is we'll have like a little fact checked. Whenever I say something up in the corner,
This was fact checked by
you'll you'll have the fucking Peter Griffin and everything. Just Peter Griffin fact checks.
you get the community notes.
Yeah. Fuck. That would be good. That would be good.
Yeah, but
Uh,
XP came out afterwards, I think.
okay. Well, it is free to keep. For anybody
It is
listening,
free.
if you want to get in on that, it should still be going by the time this episode releases. I think it ends sometime around this weekend-ish. Just grab it as soon as you hear the words come out of my mouth, if you haven't already. It's a free game. There's no
Yeah.
reason not to. You scared? It's gonna free things? Oh, you scared of free things? No, you're not. You can go get it. Just go do it. And I will probably remember to do that right after this uh podcast. So again, go do that. I'm not advertising. If anybody does want to pay me to do advertising, I will do it for very low amounts. Old Spice. What other sponsorships would be ideal? We're never getting a sponsorship, but what would be your ideal sponsorship over here?
Uh,
I could do a Manscaped ad read.
I feel like people need Old Spice.
Old Spice would not be enough to say Red Sun, we're fucked, bro. But yeah, back to on topic, what we were yabbering about, but in a professional sense so instead of my unprofessional yabbering. Uh, how did you? I mean, did you ever manage to fix that blackout issue?
I did. It was a complicated mess of like source project filing and like a bunch of shit I had to dredge through like decades old forums to find, but
Did
I
you
mean I
happen
eventually
to
fixed it.
like dredge it on any like? Because the holy messiah of figuring out how to fix something is like 5 or 6 year old Reddit posts.
Oh man. Like I'm talking forum threads from like 2007.
Ooh, I can't even count that high. That's at least 2,000 years. That'll be the next episode, surely. Just counting to 1,000. Surely, chat. Anywho. Sorry, that wasn't that funny. Let's stop laughing. Sui, that wasn't funny. Stop. I'm not funny.
-2.
Sui, I'm not funny. But yeah, good to hear you got that figured out. Just out of curiosity, what are all the worlds?
Oh, sure. You start off on a kind of like grassy, foresty type world, and
I
that's supposed to
think
be just be
it's
like the hub.
Aurora Mansion, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like Aurora Mansion, and it shares a
Actually, Aurora Mansion
landmass.
is on a beach.
That's why it's surrounded by water.
Yeah. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, but it shares a landmass with a forest, which is Prop Hunt.
Oh.
Um, on the exact opposite side of the world is the desert that I've already aforementioned,
Mhm.
and that's Def Run and Serious Sam. In the middle is a man-made kind of island. That's where like the conglomerate is for SCF. It's just supposed to be like a like a coverall for all of like the Alex maps, basically, like Normandy and whatnot. It's just like a city full of zombies. Uh, at the top is the Arctic kind of snowy zone, and that represents freeze tag because, duh. And
I don't get it. Why does it represent freeze tag Sui?
huh?
I don't get. Chat, can you explain this?
What did he mean?
I gotta stop saying chat. People are gonna think this is the live stream. VOD. But yeah.
Yeah, it's freeze tag and snow. It makes sense. And below the Aurora Mansion grass landmass is the Game Mode Graveyard, which is a completely original place to the RPG because about halfway through development, I realized I was kind of just like making Red Sun stuff, and it wasn't really a Red Sun RPG. It was kind of just Red Sun.
Mm.
So I made a completely
Avoiding
original
the
place.
obligatory VSH land that was expected. Just dodging that.
Yeah, we gotta save stuff for the sequel, and
Mm.
surely.
Surely. Well, imagining fucking the sequel's just gonna be like fucking Scott Pilgrim, but it's just instead of my 12 evil ex-boyfriends, it's fucking the 12 VSH bosses. Surely,
Well, actually, now
surely.
that you say that,
That would be peak, actually. Wait.
it would be peak,
Wait,
but
give me
like it
to right
already
this second.
is.
Hold on.
It was already kind of like the premise of the first one is like, oh, that's why. Yeah, the reason why I can't believe I forgot my own story.
I mean, I
The
didn't
reason why
ask
you
for
don't
the
go to a
story, to be
VHH
fair.
island.
So
Yeah,
yeah, I kind of skipped over that. I probably should have asked better, like, what is the story rather than, oh, what are the cool worlds? Because we could have killed two
it's
birds with
fine.
one stone. That's my bad. But yeah, go on.
I could, I could just give like a synopsis, like,
Yeah.
uh, basically the reason why you don't find VSH is because it got stolen by a mysterious assailant, and you have to go around to all the different worlds because the VHS bosses got scattered around and they're under the assailant's employ, basically.
Can think of a good few people for a Red Sun final boss. Mm. Who would
Hmm.
I put?
You know, I'd be interested in hearing that. Who would you make a boss in the RPG if you made it?
Um. Mm. Well, there's a weird squeaking sound around me. I hope nothing explodes. I think I was just sitting in my chair funny. In terms of people, Uh, I'm trying to think of an answer that does not result in drama.
Oh, it's fine. I
Barely
didn't think about that
inaudible.
at all.
That would be a good pick.
I mean, to be fair, good pick.
Good pick. You got it. Maybe I don't know about final boss. Maybe like how in like some like ongoing series books they'll have like the fake goon threat. It's like, oh, this
Yeah.
big guy is doing the evil bad thing, and then they were just like manipulated by somebody behind the scenes.
Yeah, just like the jobber.
They this is a better way to put it. World of Warcraft expansion. That's a better way to put it, because that's how they all fucking end. Oh, this guy was just being mind controlled. Fuck you, asshole. Just some people need to be evil, you know? Some people need to be awful. Which is a weird thing to state on my podcast about, on our podcast about, spreading positivity in the Redsun community. We don't have enough villains in the world. At least comical ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And being a mildly annoying asshole on Redsun, great. That's what we want. I could probably think of a couple of other people, but yeah, we're going to skip over that. But yeah, the VSH bosses, it's kind of the issue of the RPG. That's cool. That's cool. That's very cool. I definitely think I'm going to have to get around to the RPG at some point. But in regards to getting around to the RPG, I think we have given a pretty good summary. I feel like I have a pretty good comprehension. So we will get into the actual questions. We have from our Redsun community.
I can't wait.
Oh, yeah, again, don't have the best selection, but they tried their hardest, and it's okay. We don't blame you guys, alright? We don't. I wish I did. It'd be so much easier to. But I don't, because, again, we're just jovial. We're having a fun time, and, as we all get more acquainted with this podcast format, we'll kind of get more used to it, to asking questions and whatnot. But I'll just begin with our first actual question from Gravina, which I have terribly misspelled in the document, but it's from Gravina. Um, will the Reds? Okay, are you willing to answer our DLC questions? Let's start there.
Sure.
Are you willing to do that? You
As
don't have to
long,
divulge secrets. I just want to say, like, do you have the
yeah,
patience for that? Because I know that's kind of
it,
a
I
big thing
do.
on the fucking. That's a big thing on the Discord, I've noticed. And I said we weren't going to talk about Discord yappings, but
Yeah, yeah.
this isn't drama, so that's different. But just kind of a lot of people like, where's the RPG, by the way? And I don't know how much of that is like serious or like jesting. The energy I get is like 50-50. But just to ask the actual question, will the Redsun RPG DLC expand to more party members, or is it going to stick with the main ones on the base game? To my knowledge, the only like actual main cast of party members I know of is you and Fluff. Who's the rest of the main cast? You'd say.
Uh, okay. Let me see if I
Because
can remember.
Fluff and you are the only ones I've seen personally. I've seen like 30 minutes
Yeah,
of it streamed in Aurora Mansion. That's the extent of my actual experience. I think
yeah.
it's pure
The
streaming. He
main,
got his ass fucking handed to him by Saxon Hale. I won't sugarcoat it.
yeah, that happened, and then he uninstalled the game and forgot to save.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. But yeah,
But anyway, uh, yeah. So it's me, Fluff, James, uh,
uh,
Forged, Forged Identity, Zodi, um, Wifers, Zane, and Gravina and Mortis.
mm,
So there's
Mortis.
9.
That's an interesting name. I think I remember seeing some questions about this Mortis, but we'll get to that. Do you think you're gonna expand that roster though? In the
Um,
DLC?
I I really could, but I don't think I will.
Uh,
Mostly because it takes way too long to make a character that's fleshed out as these ones already are, and there's 9 of them.
all right. That's very interesting. Do you think you have anybody? This is my own question, but do you think you have anybody you would want that as a party member if if you woke up and decided I have to do it? I feel suddenly compelled to have a party member. Do you have somebody in mind?
I have a couple. Um,
Name names so they know what they're missing out on. Uh,
uh, well, I mean, I don't know if he deserves it, but I have thought about how a ZX party member would go, and
it would be funny. You have to give it that. It would be.
it'd be pretty funny.
'Cause I don't know what the party makeup like. What kind of like roles and stuff we see in the RPG. I can imagine ZX is a big debuffer though.
Probably.
You're like a green mage or something. If I were to put it like
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Final Fantasy terms, he'd very much be a green mage or something akin to that.
yeah.
I mean, do you feel like there's any kind of like roles that are kind of missing that would be worth expanding? I can't imagine with 9 full
E-
characters.
Actually, yes. Because, okay, when I was making this whole thing, I was asking people, like, who should I make party members? Who's interested? And, like, what do you want me to do? And of course, like, some people were throwing around stuff. I made a casting call post on the forums, and basically everyone just wanted to be, like, a mage.
I had a feeling
Yeah.
that we
There,
we are very much a mage aligned group. We don't.
yeah.
There are no tanks in this server. Not one.
There's like there are too many people
Black
trying to
Knight,
be
maybe.
the
Black Knight could
yeah
tank. He's got tank energy. I think he does
yeah
play tank in Overwatch, but Overwatch. I have such a trauma response though when Overwatch comes up. But yeah, go on.
uh yeah no, people were trying too hard to be like the scrunkly indie character with the oversized hat, and I was like, guys, come on, like, I need actual roles instead of just big floppy witch hat. I need something here.
It is a good
And
aesthetic.
then Forged, it's a good aesthetic. I really love it. It's S plus tier, but 9 of them would be kind of you know
Makes me wonder about
y-
like an RPG that's like just different, like mage, just different mages, like like in a D&D or something. There's all sorts of mage subclasses. You have your evocation, you have your illusion, you have your necromancers. I'm imagining a party that's just like a fucking field trip of a magic school of just fucking like 7 wizards.
that sounds really funny. And it might be like, damn, I should like just
You could steal that.
spend an afternoon and just make a short little fucking game about that. That's funny.
You could steal that. Absolutely, I would not stop you. I definitely have some ideas of kind of like an RPG thing I might inevitably try out. But because everybody has the intrusive thought of, I need to make a quirky Earthbound RPG. Everybody has that intrusive thought once. You fulfilled it clearly, but everybody has
Uh,
that intrusive thought once.
sure. Except the idea in my head is more, I need to make a not a quirky Earthbound, but like melancholic persona.
Oh no. I
Like the game
another
I
one of the
wanted to
ideas
make
I have had is
afterwards.
basically just American Persona.
Exactly.
I think that would be interesting though.
Like, I'm not gonna spend too much on this because I need to make it first, and I'll get around to
Yeah.
that eventually someday. But like the
Is
game I wanted to make
America
after the Redsun
Persona
RPG,
what it is?
I could envision it.
I mean, is that what you're
Uh,
thinking? Is that what you were planning, American Persona?
Kinda.
Because I've
It was
thought of like whole systems for that sort of thing. Like instead of like an Arcana, what I would do is you're big, I'm gonna go on this tangent. I'm gonna set a timer for like 5 minutes for this tangent, tops. Um, it's, um, the way I'd probably end up doing it is I would have your kind of special demon character or whatever. It's gonna be Cthulhu. You've got
Ooh.
Cthulhu, all right? And so the major arcana and whatnot, instead of like, the arcana cards, it's based on fear. So your different
Ooh.
categories are like fear of God, fear of darkness, fear of, and that's kind of what the monster categories go into. It's the same kind of mythological things we're pulling from, but it's a different.
Wait, hold on.
That's
That's
the
kind of
system.
guess.
That's kind of yeah, and of course each like social link or whatever would revolve around that. Maybe there'd be one that's like a fear of authority, and it's the social link is like you're chilling with like some really depressed like wagey who's getting fucked around by his boss and just tortured, and it ends in him like growing a fucking backbone or something. Something like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of the idea of how I would do that. And of course, you'd have the same kind of mythological, creatures and whatnot you pull from for
Yeah.
enemies, but they'd all be based around, a specific fear. Like, obviously gods would be mythological gods. You could have probably just a bug one, honestly. I think that would be good, just a bug one. And throw bugs in there, stuff like that. But I won't divulge all my trade secrets. That's just kind of my idea. It's kind of fire, though. No?
It is fire.
Feel
God,
free
now
to
I just want
steal.
to do it more.
Feel free to steal it. I won't stop you.
Now I already have my ideas. I already have like, trust me, it would be pretty flame. I just need to get it out into
Yeah.
the actual physical form.
Is there anybody outside of ZX you think would be good? Or any of
Ooh.
those roles again where you feel like we need or that you need to meet?
Uh,
I
well,
say I say
fortunately,
mine when it's a shared podcast, and I say we when it's your fucking personal project. I'm not being an asshole on purpose. I just suck at speaking.
man. No,
No.
anyway, fortunately, Forged showed up, because he wanted to be in the game, and he's like, if you make me a party member, can I be just the guy who punches people? And I was like, oh, yeah, you can be our tank, finally, someone who doesn't want a big hat.
So you say punching, and I'm not imagining a tank. I'm imagining fucking Lisa. like, like they just straight up have Lisa moveset. Nobody else does.
He's pretty apt.
That would be peak. It is RPG Maker after all.
Yeah,
It is
I
not
mean,
doable. In fact, I was surprised actually how many Lisa fan games there were. When I went to
there are
look,
a
there's
lot.
there's a lot, and there's a lot of good ones. That's the fun thing about RPG Maker though. But yeah, uh, I think ZX, like you said, that was probably the big one you were thinking of if you were to ever do another character.
Yeah, like Zedix or like Makoosh would probably be another one. I don't know what he'd do, but I think it would just be pretty cool.
Mm,
Or
Mikush
like,
would, mm, I'd say, Death Buffer or Tank.
yeah. I don't know. It's just I have such trouble with picking and choosing people to like play as. It's probably what I'll do again for the sequel because yes, I am gonna make a Redsun RPG sequel. It'll probably be an MV,
Mm.
but yeah, for the first roll call, I just said who wants to be in the game and send me something to represent yourself as, and I'll
And you
probably
got
do it
all the
again.
Twinkish mages.
and I got all of the scrunklies.
Good for
Um,
them though. It's a good vibe.
I love the character design, but too much
I
is
probably would have just fucking. I probably would have done the whole same thing to be honest.
yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, I'll probably do it again. The two ideas I had were like ask people again who wants to be in the game, send me whatever, or like make one of those blank slate RPG characters, and then the premise would be like you're just a Red Sun random who showed up one day,
And got
and that's your make a
involved
character
in
and got
yeah.
involved. Yeah. So like those are the two main premises I'm kind of weighing the
Some
options of
people
right
in Red
now.
Sun do think they're the main character though. So I think it would work. It's, some people
Yeah, I
really
mean,
do be
hey,
feeling like the main character.
I mean, if you want to, you could just make yourself at that point. Like, I won't stop you.
Mm. But yeah, let's see what else I got on this list. Next one is from Magic. Will there be more voice acting for NPCs or playable characters?
Uh,
You already answered that by giggling. Like, do we need to keep going?
maybe, maybe.
They specifically make mention of torturing people for recording lines is kind of funny. Isn't that right, Forged? That was part of their question.
If only Forge were here, but yes, me and him did sit in what we like to call the booth, which was just like one of our voice channels in the RPG Discord, and because I way before I even started the project, I was like, if I put Hat Turtle in the RPG, will you voice him, Forged? And he was like, yeah, sure, go for it.
The red metal. I can't do the voice right
I
now.
cannot do it either.
It's he really has the way with words. You gotta give him that.
That boy got talent.
Mm, I did a good impression of it once, but I don't have that spirit in
I
me right
just,
now.
I can't do
You
it.
gotta
My
dedicate.
voice is
It's
built
one of
different.
those voices you gotta dedicate 100%.
Yeah, you really gotta put yourself into the Hat Turtle.
You
But
really have to
yeah, I
start
asked him
chuffing that red metal dart, so to speak.
that red metal pack. I asked him, to voice it, and he obliged, which I'm thankful for.
Hmm.
So there is little tidbits of voice acting here and there sprinkled with the game, mostly revolving around Hot Turtle because he's just that special. Magic has a line, one line. That's it.
Mm. Is that why he asked it? Yeah, I mean, I mean, if you ever needed somebody for voice acting, I'm always here. But I'm not
Uh,
advertising.
I will not
My rate is
complain.
400 an hour. No, I'm not kidding. I'm kidding. Unless I'm kidding. Unless. Um, but yeah, definitely there is some interest in more voice acting. Just kind of, it's not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I I believe I already kind of in our first discussion we already answered Winflow's question or discussion or blech. A question was what made you come up with the plot for the Redsun RPG? We kind of discussed that, but if you have anything to elaborate on regarding how you came up with the
Uh,
plot?
I talked about what the plot was, not kind of how I created it. So that's
Yeah.
interesting question. Um, Honestly, I kind of just made it up as I went. Like, I didn't have a thought out plan of, oh, this will be here and this will be there. It was just kind of like, what makes sense right now as I'm making this? Oh, I guess this. And then as I kept
Yeah.
building on more and more, I went back and cross-checked stuff and was like, oh, actually, that makes sense because then this character would do this or go here and whatnot. And it kind of all just like fit. If I had to make an analogy, it'd be like making a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle and completing it, but like in the most convoluted way possible.
Like starting from the middle.
Yeah, you just start from the middle and like don't check anything like the corners or whatnot.
Mm. Yeah. All right. I mean, I get that. I mean, that's a lot of RPG stuff, especially I think like they're not gonna go back on too long of a tangent, but like MMOs especially have that kind of moment of like, oh shit, this thing from 10 years ago actually works here. Wait,
Yeah,
shit. Ooh, we clutched it. We clutched it. This story isn't shit.
exactly.
We have this one loose end from 10 years ago. We pulled it off, chat. That's something I've experienced a couple times. Not in anything I've done. This kind of in things I've done, but like I've in games I've seen that sort of thing. Like sometimes it works out, and it's
Yeah.
very cathartic when it does, especially when you can tell they did not plan this, but it worked out anyways. Sometimes you can tell, and it's really funny.
Oh, for sure.
The last couple questions are from Bread. They have a couple questions. So it's not the end. I think I'm gonna do this in order of importance. They did actually. We already answered. What inspired you to make the RPG, or whole story beforehand. We did
Right.
kind of do that. So I apologize, Brad. Please forgive us. But they did have two other questions. We'll start with the more mechanical and less storytelling one. Will there be a level cap going into the DLC, and will we be getting new skills? Well,
Yes
there is
and
a level
yes.
cap. It's an RPG, but like, what is the level cap, and what are some of the skills we're looking
Right.
at?
Uh, it might be a little hard to get to like the highest level in the base game right now, but definitely your level cap in the DLC will be 30, which will be more than enough power. And yeah, I wanted to add new skills for everybody and like well, I would just say this, like the DLC, one of the main parts is like player quests, and each party member has something that they need help with that you can go on that player quest with, and doing that will unlock a new skill and whatnot.
They need to find the red metal.
Yeah, like shit like that.
I'm sure that's already an actual plot point. The red metal. Such a trauma response to the red metal. Forge really knocked that out of the park. He did. You gotta appreciate that. Um, his other question was: is there anything you particularly hated doing in RPG Maker? I mean, I assume both, like in terms of the learning experience, like, and both, both the learning experience and just general. Like, now that you're more experienced, what do you still fucking hate?
Oh,
What's wrong with the program?
man. Uh, where do I begin? Um, well, first things first, here's a little tidbit about 2003, right?
Mhm.
And I only learned this because I suffered trying to fucking find solutions for problems. 2003, of course, is 20 years old, so, the functionality isn't, it's give or take, but originally 2003 was released, and then it got completely wiped. Nobody knows what happened to it. It's like internet lost media. And eventually it got repatched and restitched, and basically the RPG Maker 2003 we have now is like a one-for-one replica of the original made by Team, not Team Cherry, but a guy named Cherry and his like group. So big ups to them for literally saving this engine.
Surely this will be what Silk Song comes out on. Surely.
Yeah, but you know, a one-to-one facsimile of something is gonna be just that, a facsimile. So there's a couple things missing. There's a couple things that still don't work. I'd say the main thing I hated was trying to do eventing, which was like cutscenes and all that cool stuff, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to learn the basics first and then just try to make cool stuff. Oh my god, it's so hard to do any of that in RPG Maker 2003 because you don't have code, you don't have like Java or anything like the new ones do. You don't have any of that. It's literally just putting, oh, when this happens, do this. When this happens, do this. So like we have to do things with conditional branches, which is literally just else if statements. So like 90% of the game functions on else ifs. It's
The
like it's
fucking
actual
Yandere
Yondev code.
simulate. Yeah, we were thinking of the same
It is
fucking thing.
actual Yondev code. Like I'm not even kidding.
We were thinking the same fucking thing, dude. Same moment, my
Especially,
god.
oh my god, I'm gonna give Forged some catharsis right now, but like Zane, his abilities are based off of Kingdom Hearts since that's what he chose to represent him as. And every character has something uh based on their skills from like the franchise they chose to represent them as. Like
That's
Flep has
interesting.
Pokemon skills.
Because I'm thinking like some of the people on that list don't have any talent, so it's very interesting. Doesn't quite line up. Nah, I'm fucking around. I'll quit it.
Yeah.
Damn.
Anyway,
Nah, that
yeah.
was mean. I apologize.
Yeah, but like Zane's stuff, he has skills from Kingdom Hearts. I think it's Dream Drop or whatever the one on Game Boy was. And it's basically like a list of spells, and you pick one from three lists to make like your attack. And God bless him, Forge spent 8 hours writing all of it out in just like else if, else if, else if, else if. And it takes like a solid minute to scroll from the top to the bottom of that event page.
Man.
So, big ups to him. This engine, you cannot take it for granted at all.
It sure sounds like it. So, from the list, as we said before, we don't have a whole lot of questions to work with, so uh, that is kind of all the questions we have. A bit unfortunate, but as you alluded to me before the stream, and we'll be wrapping up sooner or later, but I do want to hear, you did have a bit to share on the DLC, and I'm very curious to hear about that now.
Oh, right, the DLC.
And we
Um,
will go in and post, and if you'd like to share some of those images, perhaps we can put them up.
oh, sure. Um, Let me find them.
You're in no rush. I mean, I think we went. I can. I don't know how long it's been, but I can tell already we went over our timeline
That's all
of
right.
an hour long. Oh, no problem at all. I mean, I'm happy to be here. We're having a good time.
Um,
I
well, here's a
don't.
few.
Mhm.
They're not necessarily DLC related, but it's like cut content, really. There's a lot of cut content, surprisingly, for this.
Do you think you'd be able to upload them to me over Discord?
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
one.
yeah. Obviously, we're not showing the Discord chat. We're just gonna put it in post, just the picture over the screen. But just for my viewing
Yeah,
convenience. Toru
you guys will see
Itachi!
this. Yeah, um, that's when Toru was still in the game.
My god. Jump scare.
Just some like miscellaneous sprites and whatnot.
Ah, those are cool
But
sprites. What's with the fucked up bear?
it's not a bear.
Why it's got,
Okay,
is that
you know,
Cater?
no, I think it's finally time to tell you about Mortis.
Is that Mortis?
That's Mortis facing you from the front. Uh,
Hmm.
Fluff's gonna hate me.
Yeah, tell me
Mortis,
about Mortis.
uh, okay. So, once upon a time, in a offshoot server for Redsun called the Monkeys, Fluff had a bad dream and he regaled us the tale of it. And he said that there was like a really poorly drawn cat that like killed him in the dream. It
I'm
was
still
very convoluted.
processing the monkeys server.
Like mandrels, like Redsun mandrel.
Ah, okay, that. See, when you put it like that, that makes me a lot less confused. When you say
Yeah.
monkeys randomly, I'm picturing like I'm not picturing a mandrill. I'm picturing like the weird monkeys, like the lanky ones. I forget their fucking names.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like bonobos or
Orangutans,
whatnot.
or like like the what's the other fucking weird one? The tree. They all live in trees. It's not very helpful. I know what monkey I'm thinking of, but I'm thinking of a weird monkey. The weird,
Right.
like Lanky Kong.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not picturing mandrills. Mandrills are honestly, I'm so normalized the mandrills at this point.
Exactly.
I could see when IRL, I would not gawk at it. Maybe a little bit. Yeah. Um. So go on about
Yeah.
Mortis.
So he was telling us about this dream he had, and he
Where the cat PNG killed him.
yes. And he drew out this cat. And we were all just kind of like laughing about it. And I made a joke saying like, "Oh, that's really funny how you were just living life in your dream and then all of a sudden this little like harmless cat came over and basically just killed you like how they do in Faith."
Mm.
And that's where Mortis came from. And eventually that's just kind of became his name. Fluff obviously hates him, but it was kind of a running joke between a few members, and it kind of spread a little bit. And then basically Fluff was like egging me on, and I told him like, if you don't stop, I'm gonna put Mortis in the game. And so basically, I just called his bluff, and now Mortis is a party member.
Oh my god. It's fucking. I'm just it's crazy you followed through on that. What is Mortis like?
Oh, he's a real pleasurable cat. Here, I can show you like the sprites. Like, and we'll
Oh,
post these two in
he kind
post,
of
but
chill.
like,
He kind of chill.
yeah, he's a real cool dude to be around. Uh, he only communicates through low poly meows, but everyone just understands him anyway because I think that's funny. Uh, the story to add him in basically is you find him in the secret SCP area in the RPG. And that explains why he's a poorly drawn cat in this totally unrelated universe.
Yeah.
But he's the first custom character I ever made. I hand drew everything by myself, so also learning how to sprite added onto the resume. He's just like the comic character, like a Persona
I thought
mascot almost.
everybody wanted to be the. I thought everybody would have wanted to be that guy. In addition to being, the
Oh
goofy
yeah.
mage, I thought everybody would try and be that guy.
Oh, they definitely like try to,
You'll
but
never
like
be
I thought
Mortis,
this
though.
would just be funny. Yeah, you'll never be Mortis.
You're
We all
not
love
that guy. You're
Mortis.
not that guy. You'll never be Mortis.
Let me see if I can find his facial expressions. They're pretty good.
We should have invited Fluff on just to talk about Mortis and then kick him out.
Oh yeah, here we go. There's one sheet, and then there's the other. So like, those are the ones that you see in the game. Very funny, kind of not the comedy relief character, but just like the weird outlier, I guess you could say.
Yeah. The Grumple. The
Yeah,
Grumple.
the Squinkus. He's kind of like the R2D2 of the Redsun RPG.
I do see the cat. He's retarded and stupid looking, but like in a good way. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
It's like my face. It's like my face.
He's endearing in a way.
I like I really like the first sprite on the second row, where his face is just inflated.
Oh yeah, that's where we
It's
got this sticker
yeah,
from in the
single cell organism. Yeah, it's so real. Very interesting character. Very interesting character.
he's the
Um,
farthest I've ever taken it in jokes, so yeah.
mm, well then. Um, it's very interesting. God, sorry if I'm if I'm stammering a little bit. I'm still here, and I think I've learned a lot about the RPG. I'm very happy to have been able to talk to you about this. I think it's very interesting stuff. Uh,
Well, but happy to
I was
delegate the
happy to have you
process.
on. Uh, Definitely, I've seen some merit to this interview format, and I'm hoping, in the future we can get to doing more things like this with more people. Because, again, I think it's good to interview and talk with people. Be human for a little bit.
Exactly.
Exactly. And I hope we can continue to, spread a lot of interest and niceness for, the people like you who do great things for our community, help bring us together, and just overall make Redsun a very happy place.
Well, I do enjoy these things, and I hope at the very least people also enjoy them
Hmm.
because, well, I mean, the best part about the RPG in itself is watching other people play it because, well, for one, I've already seen the whole thing 1,000 times because
Yeah.
I made it, but also just people's reactions to what they find and like how they do things. It's like it's really funny. But it also reinforces that like community type thing, like people enjoy seeing the jokes and whatnot so much, and it's like, oh, that's real nice.
Well, I've certainly had a good time, and I haven't even played it proper yet. So I think definitely I'm gonna, have to at some point give that a good try. Again, at least. I think you said it was on a itch.io, if I'm correct.
It is.
Sweet.
Uh, you can find it. Red Sun over Troubled Paradise, troubled in parentheses.
Mm.
Or if you're in the RPG Discord, it's just in the announcement channel.
Yeah, I will definitely include a link to the RPG along with this upload, as well as again a link to RPG Maker XP. Again, it is free right now. Don't know how long it is. It'd be really funny if it ends Wednesday when this goes up. I think that would be hilarious. I hope it doesn't, but I think that would be quite funny. uh, but outside of that, I think we've done some good introductions. We've gotten some good questions out of the way. And I'm very happy to have done this episode of the podcast, and I hope we can do many more to come. Do you have any closing statements you'd like to say? Like to give?
Sure.
You can think on that for a second. You're not in a
Uh,
rush.
okay, well, thank you to the people who took the time to actually write a question to show interest in the project. Thank you to the people who are continuing to show interest in the project with the DLC as I continue to develop it. Thank you to Bread for being a real one.
Red was so real for this. Add that motherfucker to the RPG immediately. He was so real
Oh,
for
he's
this.
already in.
Do him again, Bread too.
You already know I gotta include our goat.
So real for that. Checking for the document,
But
I have a couple other questions, but they were I just documented some of the goofy ones, which we could end on one of those. For example, everybody's favorite podcast cap off. Would you rather have unlimited bacon but no more games, or games, unlimited games, and no games? I did not have a
Um,
stroke. I didn't have a stroke. Just answer truthfully.
you know, probably games.
Unlimited games, but
Sure,
no
we'll go
games.
with that. Games.
Good choice. Good choice. Um, yeah, I mean, I think you did a very good closing. Uh, just good thanks to everybody who has been here with us, who's listened to the podcast, who helped Suey here with the RPG, who gave him good faith. And I hope in the long run we can see our little podcast here be a similar success story of good community fun, good community cheer.
Here's hoping.
Here's hoping. But I'm sure no, well, I say that like I'm unsure, but I am sure we have plenty more good things to talk about, plenty more good times ahead, and I think we've done a very good, solid introduction to the format. So I'd like to thank you personally, Sui, again for uh, accompanying me on the podcast and being, the best co-host I really could have asked for a project like this, and also for answering the interview questions about the Redsun RPG and just generally talking and enlightening us about it.
Well, thank you for having me.
Like I said, I couldn't have picked anyone better. I've got best man I could ask for it right here.
I don't know why I'm talking like I won't be here next week.
Yeah, I it's it's kind of
It's
something I
kind of
mentioned
weird,
at
but like,
the start of the
uh,
podcast. It's a little awkward to have
uh,
an interview with the co-host
yeah,
right
but
off the.
whatever,
But like, yeah, it's
we
whatever.
have fun here.
We had fun, and there will be many, many more fun times ahead of us. And so, with that, I will close out the podcast. I thank you all again. I will hopefully be seeing you again this time next week. And here's hoping this gets uploaded on time. Thank you again.
All right.
Uh,
To Red Sun, everybody,
to Redsun.
signing off.